Everyone has feelings. It's hard for them to be at the same level for everyone. Whether it's fear, attachment, or even love. Each of us lives with a role model. And I lived through an experience that made me discover new feelings. I couldn't find a name for them. Something beyond the shattering of dreams and hopes. And even much greater than betrayal. My name is Marwan Ahmed. I am 26 years old. I live in Giza Governorate, specifically in an area called Warak. I don't like talking too much. That's why I'll try to keep my message short for you. This story happened about 6 years ago. My late father was a well-known and skilled doctor. He had an obstetrics and gynecology clinic in a governorate called Kalyubia. May God have mercy on him, he passed away while at the clinic. Since then, we closed the clinic. This is because it was my grandfather's apartment and no one needed it. Anyway, days passed and I graduated. After that, I worked in several fields and earned my living. Until God blessed me and I learned how to be a content creator. I also started filming videos and earning money from it. Even so, my mother was bothered because sometimes I would bring people over to film with me. And that from her perspective was unacceptable because I have a sister and our reputation in the building wasn't the best. So as not to upset me, she suggested I reopen my grandfather's apartment. Honestly, I refused the idea at first. I told her it was definitely an old apartment and its decor wasn't suitable for filming at all. Besides, the place wouldn't be clean or comfortable. But after a while, advertisements appeared in front of me. There were many opportunities to go back to doing lives and competitions. And at that point, the profit would have doubled. So I decided to use the apartment and redo the decor to my taste. But honestly, I didn't have 5,000 pounds. So I called my mother and asked her for that amount to complete it and do the decor for the apartment. And finally, she agreed. Of course, I had prepared several decor ideas in my head. I went to see several offices to have them fix everything, but their prices were exaggerated. So I was forced to deal with a painter/tradesman named Saber. Anyway, he agreed to go to the apartment and see it in person first. And I didn't waste any time. I took him and we went to the apartment. When we arrived, as soon as I entered the building and took the first step, I found someone behind me saying, "Hey, you two, where are you guys going?" "Yeah, where are you guys going?" "Peace be upon you. I am Marwan Ahmed Rashwan. Our apartment is on the first floor. You are Uncle Shahata, right?" "Yes, it's Shahata. But excuse me if you don't mind. This is the first time I see this guy with you. But I remembered you, and I know you well. You are Dr. Ahmed's son. You haven't changed at all, Uncle Shahata. I'm honestly surprised you remember me. I thought you wouldn't recognize me at all, because I've let my hair grow and changed my style since back then. The last time you saw me was the day my father passed away. May God have mercy on him." At that moment, I found him looking at the ground, and after a few seconds, he moved a little closer to me. And suddenly he patted my shoulder, and he said to me, "May God have mercy on him, Mr. Marwan. Yeah, but it's strange that you're coming now after all this long absence. And who is this gentleman? Are you planning to sell the apartment or what?" "Of course not sell the apartment. I brought Saber the handyman to work on the apartment because I decided to live in it. In the name of God and with his blessing, let's start the episode. In the name of God. This episode is a new story and a new episode of the series of listeners' experiences and tales. Your own tales. Let's begin today's episode and let's... In the name of God. As soon as he heard me say that I was going to live in the apartment, I felt his soul leave his body. His eyes widened, his eyebrows raised, and I found him shaking his head. Suddenly, he left me and went out. I signaled to Saber the handyman and we went up. When we stood in front of the apartment, I took out the keys and opened the door. As soon as I flipped the electricity breaker, the light bulb popped. Of course, I expected something like that, because the apartment has been closed for a very long time. And that's when Saber the handyman looked at the walls. He approached them and kept running his hand over wall after wall. And whenever he found a bump or a scratch, he'd point it out to me and say a well-known line to get me to increase his wages. "See how the wall is cracked? This needs plastering first, sir. Honestly, it looks like it's going to be a struggle for me." "Don't worry, Saber. You're up to the task. Let's just make it work. I really don't have an extra penny to hire the worker for the plastering. Make it work, may God bless you." "There is no power, no strength except in God. How about a cigarette, please? Forgot my pack at Hoda's apartment." I took out my cigarette pack and gave it all to him. He smiled afterward and said, "May God increase your bounty. Look here, and let me hear a prayer for the Prophet from a pure heart, Now, for a job like this, should I tell you the cost and you buy the materials? Or should I take the money and buy them myself? Whatever makes you comfortable, sir. But the important thing is that the work you want with these same designs and decorations will require me to spend 2 or 3 nights in the apartment. At most, 3 days, and you'll receive your apartment from me just the way you want. But I have a condition before I start any work." "You mean you're going to sleep in the apartment, and you have conditions too?" "Go ahead, Saber, say what you want." "What are your conditions?" "In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, this apartment looks like it's been closed for years. You need to bring a radio and play the Quran radio station because taking precautions is necessary. I'll take a down payment for 2 or 3 days and come to work on the apartment. But I need a kettle, sugar, and tea. And it would be better to have some good coffee from the Baraka shop on the corner. Its aroma is so strong. I smelled it when I entered the street. The scent tells you it's original Brazilian." "Original Brazilian coffee? What, were you raised in the alleys of Brazil? And you know the difference between real Brazilian coffee and the fake stuff?" He laughed at what I said. After what I heard, honestly, I was annoyed. But unfortunately, Saber was the cheapest worker with the lowest price for the decorations and the work at the time. And I agreed to his terms. That day passed, and another, and he didn't call me to go to the apartment and start working. Anyway, on the 3rd day I called him, and he started rambling and making excuses. He said the apartment might be haunted, and sometimes he'd say the market is expensive these days, and he hates buying supplies at high prices and all that. The point is, I got fed up and gave him an ultimatum. Either he works, or I'll find someone else and take the deposit back from him. That's when he was forced to come to the apartment. I don't need to tell you what happened that day. I went with him and stayed there for 5 hours, putting up with the strange music he was playing. In the end, I left him to finish working alone, and I went downstairs. I went back home and fell asleep from exhaustion. Suddenly, at 3:30 in the morning, I found my phone ringing. The strange thing is that it had rung 12 times before that, and I didn't hear it. And on the 13th time, I heard it and answered. It was Saber, and I wasn't in the mood. He kept shouting and saying strange things. I finally got annoyed and said, "I'll call you when I wake up. I want to sleep." In the morning, he called me again, and I found him saying he was on our street sitting at a coffee shop. I went down to him quickly, but as I approached him, I was surprised because he had gathered all his things next to him on the table and the apartment key was in his hand. As soon as I stood by him, he raised his hand to give me the key. I got angry at him and said, "What's going on, Master Saber? What's wrong with you this early in the morning? Didn't I have an agreement with you? We agreed on time. What's with this behavior and this atmosphere you're creating? Are you pulling all these stunts for money? Do you think I'm that kind of person? Watch your tongue, it is shameful. You're from my neighborhood and I treat you like my brother. Man, my reply would upset you. Take it, man. Take your apartment key. I'm not going back there again." "Is it really all that? I don't understand. Are you acting like you don't know the apartment is haunted? Man, how could all this happen and it's me who's the crazy one? Why is it specifically in your apartment?" I was surprised by his words and sat on the chair trying to understand from him. "Man, I don't understand anything from you. Explain what's going on. Slow down." "Sir, sure, let me tell you. My friend, I was sitting yesterday working in the room all the way in the back. I took the putty bag, opened it, and poured it into the bucket. After that, I grabbed the putty knife and started working with it. And you were sitting there with me during the day because of the noise and the neighbors. Once you left, I took this sandpaper and finished the 4 walls and the baseboards perfectly. I turned to grab the putty knife. I swear to God I didn't move it from its place, and I found it fallen inside the bucket, even though I would never do that. I said, fine, no problem. Maybe it happened for a second while I was forgetful. I took the knife and went over the walls, and that's when I heard the sound of a small child laughing. I was surprised. I thought maybe there was an open window. And to quiet my mind, I went and closed all the windows in the apartment. I told him, forget the fan, sir. I don't want any air so my mind doesn't wander. Things didn't stop there, Mr. Marwan. Suddenly I heard the bucket moving in the room, so I came out of the bathroom to see what was going on. I found the bucket turned over on the floor. At that point I said, that's it. I'm taking my stuff and leaving. I went into the room and gathered clothes, and I started to change out of my work clothes. I was just pulling off my t-shirt when suddenly I felt a hand brush against my body. Obviously I didn't finish changing. I kicked the door open with my foot, man, and I took off running downstairs. I didn't even lock the apartment door with the key. I just pulled it shut. You go deal with it yourself, man. I'm not going back to that apartment again. I looked at him stunned. Then I said, listen here, Mr. Saber. I told you I'd give you 4,000. Let's make it 5,000. Buddy, I think 5,000 for 3 days is more than enough. Fine, let's just finish this job. Since you're doing all this just for the money. Although, no offense, if you had just asked directly, I would have said yes anyway. Are you kidding? Do you think I'm lying? Listen, do you have the key? Here, take this too, it's yours. I've already been paid for the sanding work. A worker's daily wage is £500. And this 500 is yours, honestly. Go find yourself another worker, sir. I am not working in this apartment. Even if you increase the pay to £100,000, I swear to God I won't step foot in that apartment again. Am I crazy, man? I barely got out of there alive. I was annoyed by his attitude, but I took the money and left the cafe. I went to look for another worker. Anyway, I found one. And to keep from repeating myself over and over, the same thing that happened with Mr. Saber happened with the others, just with different situations in the apartment. The point is, everyone refused. No one would work in that apartment, neither day nor night. Finally, fed up, I went to the apartment myself, of course, without telling my mother anything. I opened the apartment and left the door open, and I sat in the middle of the living room thinking about what I could do. I saw the neighbors coming up and down. They all looked at the apartment with curiosity, until I got sick of their stares. So I got up and shut the door completely. The radio was on, of course, playing the Quran broadcast, but suddenly the sound of the Quran stopped. I didn't pay it any mind. I was looking at the sanding tools and looking back at the walls. And even though I was really bothered, I don't know why, but I felt a sudden sense of determination. I decided to stand up to anything that got in my way or tried to break me. They were all slogans that I felt rushed into my mind at once. To take advantage of that mood, I took off my clothes and, holding the sander, I started sanding the apartment while singing loudly. But I noticed while singing that the radio sound had gone completely silent. It wasn't cutting in and out anymore. At the time, I thought maybe it was because my voice was too loud, especially since the room was empty and my voice echoed. I went completely silent to listen to the radio and feel at ease. But unfortunately, I didn't feel at ease, because the sound became completely muffled. I leaned my ear against the door toward the hallway. There was no sound, not a signal. But suddenly, I heard the sound of a child humming, like they were saying, "Rara, yum yum ya." The sound seemed normal, not scary. But the sheer closeness of that humming is what terrified me and made my hair stand on end. Suddenly, I dropped what was in my hands. And the first thing I did or thought of was to run out. But I was afraid if I left the room, I'd see something in the hall. That's when I decided to close the door, with my back to it without looking into the hall at all. And I struggled until I pushed the door shut. After that, I sat back down on the floor. I pulled up a number on my phone and thought to call a friend. Maybe he'd come and I'd feel safe with him there. But when I called him, he didn't answer me. And while I was sitting on the bucket holding my phone, I saw something that literally turned me back into a primary school kid. Suddenly, the light bulb above my head started shaking on its own and making noise. I swear, even without me coming near it or getting close to it at all. I thought for a moment the power might cut out on me. But what I was going through couldn't handle the power going out at all. So I decided to turn on the phone's flashlight quickly. And just as I expected, the bulb kept flickering on and off on the ceiling. And all at once, the bulb came out of the socket and fell to the floor. I can't describe the feeling I had at that moment. But I fell off the bucket from the shock, and my heart almost stopped. But thank God the flash was still on. And in the middle of all this, suddenly the phone rang. And the flash turned off and on at that moment. In that split second, I saw a little girl in front of me. A child wearing a white dress, and her hair was so long that it was down on the floor. Unfortunately, I didn't know who was calling or what had happened. But I suddenly screamed instinctively and ran. I got to the room door, opened it, and went out into the hall. From there, I ran to the apartment door and went down, leaving the door open. Of course, I stood in the building's entrance, shaking from the shock. But I couldn't leave because the door was open. And honestly, I was afraid something from the clinic stuff in the hall would be stolen. I was forced to stand downstairs. And unfortunately for me, Uncle Shihada, the building guard, came out and saw me. I was wearing shorts and, sorry to say, an old sleeveless t-shirt. And that was because I was doing painting work. Uncle Shihada then approached me and said, startled, "What brought you down like this, son? Are you okay? Did something happen to you or what?" "No, I could. Excuse me, Uncle Shihata. Could you come up with me to get my clothes and close the apartment door?" "Oh, the apartment door? You were staying up late, so it's natural something would happen and you'd face troubles. Come with me, don't be afraid." At that moment, he went up and I followed him. I found him standing at the apartment door, silent, looking inside the apartment. Then he raised his hands, warning me, and said, "Don't you go into the apartment at all. Stay standing here. In the name of God who causes no harm." I found Uncle Shihata walk in and out with his clothes, and he said to me while gesturing, "I flipped the main power switch and locked all the windows and doors. The apartment is shut tight. Here's the key. Keep it with you and come downstairs. I need to talk to you about something." "About what? How come you went in and nothing happened to you?" "I'm telling you, it looks like you've done something to the apartment to scare us off, so you can exploit us for your own benefit. I swear to God, if what I'm thinking is right, I'm going to report you locked up. I'm going to report you." He looked at me as if I were crazy, then walked down and left me. I followed him down then and entered the room where he was sitting. It had a table and 2 chairs side by side. I looked at him and he gestured for me to sit. Then I saw him setting up cups, and afterward he said, "Do you take your tea like your late father, or are you different?" "I drink it with 1 spoonful of sugar." "Ah, so you are like him. Sit down while I tell you, since you won't find anyone else to tell you the truth." I sat on the chair then, and he was stirring the cups. I could hear the sound of the spoon against the cup. He stopped stirring and said to me, "Look, son, someone else would have said, 'Let the world burn as long as it's far from me.' But my upbringing and my family roots taught me, when I see something wrong, I must speak up, even if it costs me my life. Your late father used to do many wrong things, and I warned him. I told him, 'Dr. Ahmed, what you're doing is dangerous. What you're doing is beyond you.' He thought I was saying that because of the apartment, just like you, but I didn't hold it against him. I cut him off, saying, 'My father, what wrong things could my father have been doing?' My father was one of a kind. He was beloved everywhere. He would go out to work at any time. Because of his love and passion for his work, he would often stay up and pull double shifts at the clinic." "What are you saying, man?" At that moment, Uncle Shihata turned, set the cup of tea in front of me, and sat across from me. And he said, "Here, have a drink. Your late father used to perform illegal abortions for girls." At first I was suspicious, but I confirmed it from the nurse who was with him. She is the one who told me herself. "Which nurse? Do you mean Radwa?" "God bless you. I had forgotten her name. She came to you." Just like that, and sat with him. I told her, "Dr. Ahmed, stop these abortion operations and such talk. Just stop. It's a sin. It's a sin to kill a child. It's a burden you can handle." Do you know what he replied and said to me? He said, "These girls come from good families, and if their families find out, they'll kill both them and the baby in their wombs. Instead of 2 dying, only 1 dies. And it's just a child who hasn't even seen the world yet. You're a liar. It's impossible for my father to do that. Get lost, and your tea. I don't want anything from you. Move aside, I'm leaving." Suddenly, he grabbed my hand firmly, even though he is old. He looked into my eyes. He said to me nervously, "Wait until I finish what I'm saying. Your father, on his last day, I told you he died in the clinic, but he died because of the spirit of that last fetus. I saw him dead with my own eyes in the clinic with the door open. I was the one who went in and discovered his body. Your father looked like he had seen something he couldn't bear. A disaster happened that day. I expected he was surely dead. And so your mind doesn't wander too far, I will tell you. That day a girl came with her friend late at night. At night. I was, as usual, locking the apartment building door. The girl knocked and she and her friend came in. He went up and it was clear your father was expecting them. Even the nurse, Radwa, stayed in the clinic. Suddenly at 2:30 a.m. the door was being pounded on hard. I went to open it and found a guy there with a heavy blanket. He ran straight upstairs. Your father called out to help him. I looked and found the girl lying in her own blood. And Radwa was busy wiping the floor from the blood that was flooding it. She ran to the bathroom to dump the blood down the drain. But the bathroom floor had blood dripping on it because of the bucket that was leaking. I told her then that this blood was wrong. It could cause trouble in the bathroom. I was shocked that this blood was the blood of the fetus that had been inside the girl. But she was probably drinking garbage or taking drugs. So she died from the operation. She couldn't take it. The girl and the guy took her and said they would handle it. Your father was shaking at that moment. He was scared. As for Radwa, she left at 4 a.m. And around 5 o'clock came a check at. I wanted to see if your father needed tea or coffee. I found the door open. Went in and saw him lying on the floor inside the room facing the door. He looked like he was acknowledging God. But how would someone like him know God with what he was doing? Sure, he was pointing at something he had seen, and that was surely what caused his heart attack and death. Now, do you know why I tell you to sell this apartment and be done with it and not to come here again, you especially? I looked him in the eye and said, "No. I know you're a liar and a fraud and you're greedy for the apartment. I'm leaving. Get your hand off me, you crazy man. You're doing all this because you want me to believe you and go running to sell the apartment. And of course play the role of the hero and savior and take the apartment from me at any price. But your methods are too cheap to tarnish my father's image in my eyes. I thought there was some other way than this movie you're narrating. Wait, I have a million pieces of evidence if you don't believe me. Or I'll tell you, go see the nurse. Or look at the last entry in the register, and you'll find the girl died by his hand. See who killed her and killed the fetus inside her? Oh, okay, look, sir, forget all that. Go upstairs and sit for just 5 minutes. And believe me, you'll see everything that's happening for yourself. But you'll have to endure what happens to you and not turn into a coward." I pushed his hand away and ran. From the pressure and the tension I felt inside regarding my father's reputation, I took out my phone and found Radwa's number. I called her. I really wanted her to answer so I could ask her and set my conscience at ease. But unfortunately, her mother was the one who answered. I was shocked to learn that Radwa died a week after my father. She suffered a heart attack while in the elevator. It could have been ignored and dismissed as mere suspicion. But after hearing about Radwa's accident, I felt Uncle Shahada was right, and that my father wasn't Dr. Sharif. The grief and shock have had a hold on me ever since. I don't know whether to tell my mother or not. And I don't know how to go and verify information like this. If you were in my place, what would you do? Is it reasonable to ruin all the old memories between you and your father? To confront the past and expose it? Or would you run away and leave it hidden? And so today's episode's story and experience come to an end. You have the right, my friend, to believe or disbelieve all or part of the episode. For these are the listener's experiences, your own stories. I thank writer Amr Alem for writing this episode in the radio style you just heard. I also thank writer Eliza Zaghloul for preparing all the episodes of the General of Horror program. Finally, I thank Mustafa El Masri for the sound effects and music, and I thank you all for listening. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell icon to receive all new content. If you are one of those who like to support me, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thank you very much. This was Mohammed Gwaili with the General of Horror program. Peace be upon you.